There it goes. Live. Great.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our monthly Logic Apps webcast. We're exciting. This is kind of a special, on a very special episode of Azure Logic Apps Live.
Yes.
So we're excited to be here to go over some exciting announcements. Logic Apps reached general availability yesterday, so that's the big one. We're very excited as a team. Yep, big day for everyone. So we'll go, Kevin's going to go over that in a little bit. But first off, let's do some introductions. So if this is your first time joining the webcast, for one, welcome. You're in for a treat. We have an entire library of over a year of these webcasts. I invite you to go watch them all. Join us next time as well. Click that subscribe button. But I'm Jeff Holland. I'm a program manager on the Microsoft integration team, and I focus primarily on Logic Apps, and joined to my left by
Kevin Lamb. I'm also a program manager focusing on Logic Apps.
John Fancy. I'm also a program manager focusing across both Logic Apps and our on-prem capabilities with Pistol.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. So we'll jump right into it. We've got a lot to share today. So
let's see if we can all fit in.
And you know, I was so sad last time because we set up the new thing, and I thought we were going to be able to do picture-in-picture, but I guess that Google Hangouts it doesn't let me do picture-in-picture. So as soon as I switch over to Kevin's screen, we're going to go away. But that's okay. You'll still hear us.
We're still here.
I know, we're still here. We're listening. And again, as we go throughout this, you'll notice in the description, we're more than happy to answer questions. There's a chat window that you should see that you can ask us questions. You can tweet us at LogicAppsIO, or if you're not on Twitter or you don't want to tweet us, you can send us an email to logicappsemail@microsoft.com. So we're listening. We'll answer any questions at the end of the broadcast. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to your screen now. You're up.
My screen?
Yeah.
All right. The webcast. First, yay! Logic Apps is generally available.
Hooray.
It's been a long time coming. I'm very excited to have that announcement that we went generally available yesterday. You should see a bunch of news feeds and PR and blog posts. So please go start using Logic Apps in your production environments. It's GA.
Yeah.
Along with that GA, it took a lot of people to make this thing happen. Within Microsoft, we have a number of teams that have committed to help us, from connectors to the backends to the server, the BizTalk server product. All these guys have come together to make this happen. We have marketing and sales and documentation. So this was really a big team effort to bring us across that line, as well as you guys out in the community. You gave us a lot of feedback, and hopefully we've heard your feedback and incorporated that to the product to make it even a better product as we made it to GA. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, honestly.
So first, along with the general availability of Logic Apps, there are a number of connectors that are also being marked as generally available as well. So connectors are constantly being released. And along with that release, they'll first go into a preview mode, and then kind of as in waves, they'll come out and be declared as GA, meeting their SLA requirements and all of the internal engineering requirements. So the first set of connectors are here that are marked GA: SQL, Service Bus, Azure Blob, OneDrive, Salesforce, SharePoint Online, Office 365 Outlook, SFTP, Dropbox, and SMTP. We have a couple already in the hopper to go GA. Like Twitter, FTP, and Dynamics CRM are in the hopper, about to do that as well next week. But every week or every couple of weeks, you'll see more of these become GA. Next. So what's new? A lot is new. So I will kind of go through this a little quickly, just because we're going to have a couple of demos so you can see some of the things that we've done. But this is a great list as we go live. Logic Apps tools for Visual Studio. So now you can edit, create, deploy Logic Apps from Visual Studio. You can go to Visual Studio and download the Logic Apps for tools for Visual Studio right from your tools, and start using it. So it works great, and I'll demo that a little later.
Very, very nice experience, honestly. It's a lot of fun to use, so you'll get to see that soon.
It's snappy. Monitoring view. So now you can have a visualization of run results. So now when you look at a particular run, instead of seeing a list of steps that have run or not run, you actually see the designer that you've created, but in a monitoring view, and you get to click on each step and see what the results of each of those steps are. Diagnostic alerts. So now you can create alert rules so that you can get an email in case one of you have a logic app and it's failed 5 times in the last hour, or a number of actions have been failing in a certain period of time. You can get yourself an email and alert yourself. Performance. We've done a lot of engineering work in the back end, and we've really put a lot of attention to performance. So if you notice your request response, or if you have a request trigger and a response, you'll see that happen a lot faster than it was before, in hundreds of milliseconds instead of seconds.
Yeah, we were looking at the performance increase just over the last 2 weeks with some of the enhancements we've done, and it's well over 50% improvement by the average action. So you should be noticing that, especially when you're using that request trigger and response. That's
right. Even action steps are much faster.
Action steps are as well. We've done some enhancements on the back end, so and more in the pipeline. So that's exciting.
Preserve code. Don't touch my code. So for those who do some more advanced scenarios and would try to do edits in code view and come back to the designer, and you notice the designer would change stuff, or you wanted to do functions, workflow functions inside of the designer in the text boxes, now we preserve your code. So we won't mess with the stuff that you've created. Our designer's not trying to be smarter. Parallel views. So if you are a sophisticated Logic Apps user and you know how to go into the code view and modify your run after properties to create parallels, now the designer supports showing you those parallels in the designer. We don't yet support allowing you from the designer to create a parallel. That will be something that's coming up. But at least we now render the parallels correctly if you've done the code view changes. Edifact. Go ahead, John. I'll let you talk about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we released this yesterday along with everything else. We put some documentation out there. We're going to be doing some blogging about this as well to get folks started. But I think in the last Logic Apps Live, Jeff and I did kind of walk through this, what we had with the Enterprise Integration Pack preview, the new integration account with X12 and AS2 support as well as all the great XML processing capabilities. We've just added to that with Edifact support as well. So folks based in Europe who predominantly based on Edifact, we now provide full support for that. We have the Ibizo integration, so great new authoring experience to create agreements based on Edifact and configure all of that stuff as well. So try it out and let us know what you think.
I mean, the whole B2B EDI experience is kind of mind-blowing, how quickly you can go create one of those experiences.
Yeah, I was joking with Kevin the other day that we're doing a bunch of demos with customers, and to get up and running from a standing start with Logic Apps for AS2 takes under 5 minutes. You can create an integration account, you can add, create a couple of partners, create an agreement for AS2, and then create a Logic App to consume it in minutes, compared with what folks are used to using other products or tools where you spend an awful lot of time just getting these things up and running.
Hours and days.
Hours and days, exactly. So, super, really hope you guys like it and let us know what you think, but hopefully we've really optimized the experience as a business.
Sure. Well, the slide's full, so we must be going on to the next part, right?
No, we got more.
Wow, 2 columns.
It keeps on going.
So many new features.
We've been busy. The next thing, API connections portal experience.
Yes, we'll show that.
So now that you create those connections, you can actually go in a first-class portal experience in the Visa. There's more.
Still more.
On-premises data gateway. So now we have a dedicated gateway that you can now connect from Logic Apps to on-premises resources. So you install a single gateway component on-premises, and then all the connectors will work through that single gateway. The first set of connectors that are out with the on-premises data gateway are SQL, DB2, and SharePoint. And we have more coming down the line. So we have a bunch in the pipeline for getting that on-premises support.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this gateway, too, is it's the same on-premises data gateway that can be used across a number of different products as we kind of work towards one Microsoft. So right now, this gateway can be used across Power BI, Microsoft Flow, Microsoft Power Apps. So you just have to install this once, and it works across that whole suite of applications.
Enterprise integration category. So if you're perusing around either the Azure the Azure portal. So in the marketplace, you'll see that we'll have a new enterprise integration category. So if you're looking for logic apps, you can search for enterprise integration, and Jeff will go ahead and probably do a quick show when he goes to his demo part. As well as in azure.microsoft.com, we have our own enterprise integration category, and we'll be beefing that up over time. You see our product pages and documentation pages, and that will get more clear as we move forward.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the little things. I mean, we're really trying to make it easy to find stuff, so we group everything together, as you'd expect under enterprise integration, not just, logic apps, but physical service there as well, the DCP, gallery images, or API management as well.
That's right, in the marketplace that we've done that.
So yeah, we've done all of that.
That's right.
So,
and the website, the azure.microsoft.com website, will catch up to that marketplace that we've shown. So not to be confused if you look at this too. And standalone consumption pricing model. So along with our general availability, we also allow you to use Logic Apps without an app service plan, and there's no throttling if you use Logic Apps as a standalone consumption. So we just charge you for the action executions that you use, so you only pay for what you use, and you can go party on that thing and make it happen.
Yep, very nice.
So I think that's it, because I don't have any more room for stuff.
Yeah, that's all right, because we have stuff coming soon.
Demos.
Oh, demos. We're going to do demos first. Okay. I'll let you take it with the nice demo of Visual Studio first, Kevin.
Okay. Let's do Visual
Unless you want me to do my Azure
No,
portal
let's
stuff.
do that, because I'm already here.
Yeah.
So Visual Studio. So I'm just going to do a quick peruse of how to do this. So I have Visual Studio. If you've gone to your tools and extensions and updates, you'll be able to do a search for online and get your Azure tools. You can see this, Azure Logic Apps tools for Visual Studio. You can search for it and install it yourself. I've already installed it. So what you can do, now one of the great things that we've done with the tooling experience is that we've built it on top of the Azure Resource Group project, which means you project, here it goes, so Azure Resource Group under Cloud. So which means that we're working alongside with, or actually within, deployment templates, ARM deployment templates. So the idea here is that the code that you go and put in your source control is the place where we edit our Logic Apps from. So you only have one thing to go and manage and handle.
That's right, and you can manage other resources. It's not uncommon. When you're deploying an end-to-end solution, you might have a SQL database, you might have some websites that are acting as API apps, as well as a number of different Logic Apps. And you can have all of those in a single deployment template here, and be able to, for the Logic App piece at least, edit them within the designer.
So just showing you there's nothing up my sleeves.
Yeah.
You couldn't see that. But, if we just open up this file, this is an ARM deployment template. There's nothing special about this. And inside that, we see the Logic Apps resource. So Microsoft.Logic Workflows is our resource. So if I close this, this is where the magic happens. I go to that template file, right-click, and you see a new Open with Logic Apps Designer.
Very cool.
So the tooling recognizes that there's a Logic App workflow resource inside of that template, and then gives you that option to open it up with the designer.
Now, it's asking Kevin here to select a subscription resource group because many parts of the designer access different pieces in your resource group. For example, if you're using the dynamic CRM connector and it wants you to use a connection, it's actually going to look at this resource group that he's designing it in to see if he has any connections there to get started with, as well as create new connections so it can do things like dynamic swagger, is what we call it, to say like, hey, what are the fields that are available for my CRM entity, right? If I say I want to add a new customer, the designer needs to go and ask your CRM database what are the different fields that are available. So that's why it's asking for that information. But while he's designing this, it's creating the templatized version of it. So it doesn't matter really what subscription resource group you choose to design it in. You're able to deploy it into any subscription or resource group with all the pieces you need there.
That's right. So the important point there is that you do need to be connected to the web to be able to access the designer. But that's intentional for creating a good experience in Visual Studio. So this is just like the designer that you're used to. So I can create a logic app in here, and if I do right, and it understands I already have a connection, so it already understands that. So now if I go save this, let's actually look at code view. So you have code view in here, and you can see the code that we've just created. Just a nice snappy experience because you're in Visual Studio. Go save this, and if I close this and then open the template again, you'll see that all we've done is embedded that logic app inside that template. So here you see a resource, you see the actions and triggers, and it's all in there.
And what's nice actually is even if you scroll up a little bit to the top of your template, down a little bit, I want to show them the connection that it even created a template for right there. Oh yeah, you're right. It is at the bottom. That's the parameters.
Yeah.
But yes, you also have the Dropbox connection. So in this app, he said, hey, I need to talk to Dropbox. So it's gone ahead and added into this template that, as we've talked, you could check in the source controller, you could deploy as part of a release process. It's got all the pieces you need there.
But what was the engineers did a really good job when the connection was already created, so it was actually out in the wild, and it recognized that we wanted to use this in this project, so it pulled it into as a resource here. So it's
very cool.
Awesome. And so then you can go ahead and deploy it. Right? So you can go ahead and deploy just like any other template. But I won't go through that just because we have time. But this is your normal template deploy, ARM template deploy experience.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to switch as I go into Inception mode with all this stuff. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of some of the new features we have in the Azure portal. We're not giving all our love to Visual Studio. We're still making a great experience in the portal too.
That's right.
Especially around managing your logic apps and your connections. So the first piece I want to show is actually, I'll even just expand this. Let's increase our zoom a little bit so our friends on the broadcast. There's a new resource type called API connections here. So if you're in Azure and you say browse and you see here I have API connections, if I knew how the alphabet worked, and for some reason I'm not seeing it listed under, oh, right there. Again, that alphabet's really tricky. It's alphabetical. But I can list and see, you'll notice for my subscription, because I play with Logic Apps a lot, I have a lot of different connections, but I'm able to see all of them and manage them, edit them, delete them, rename them, everything that I would expect to do. Now let's take a Logic app that we have and show you some of the new features there. The first one I want to show is just run monitoring view. So I have all these runs that have been running for this Logic app. You can see it even ran this morning at 11 a.m., which is interesting because this is the text message Logic app. So someone's still texting this phone number to trigger this Logic app. But when I open this Logic app, what it's actually running is this run monitoring view, which is going to load up the designer so that we can see the different steps of our workflow. And let me maximize this since this is a little bit bigger one. But I can see all of the pieces that happened within this workflow. I can click into them to see what the different statuses were. I can see the inputs and outputs. I'm actually not going to open any of these, though, because this Logic app is responding from a text message, so it's going to have someone's phone number in there. I don't necessarily want to broadcast someone's phone number over YouTube without their consent. But you get the general idea. The other nice piece that we've talked about is around diagnostics. So you see here we have this section called diagnostics. I can come in here and click it. Not only am I going to see diagnostics that I can configure to go to an Azure Event Hub or to an Azure Storage account, so I can keep up to date on anything that's happening across any of my Logic apps. I can also configure alerts. So I can go ahead and click alerts. I could add an alert. And just to show you quickly, like the huge amount of alert types you could do, if I choose this drop-down, here's all of the different events that I could fire an alert off of. You see I have like if an action failed, if I was getting throttled, maybe I'm in an app service plan still and I'm getting throttled because I'm at free. If a run failed, all these different events where I could say, hey, I want to know if I have any runs failed, maybe if I have more than 5. So you see I said greater than 5 runs failed over the last 5 minutes, send me an email, right? So this is super useful for you to monitor your Logic apps, to keep updates. We also have a number of different templates. If you click this learn more about configuring webhooks, this will actually even take you to a bunch of templates on how you can use Logic apps to fire off of an Azure alert. So that's just kind of a quick overview of those different pieces there. So take a look at some of the new exciting pieces in the Azure portal. I'm not going to show Parallel right now, just because we... Sure. So I can also click this automation script button. And what this is going to do is similar to, I have a big resource group. You see I have like 6 logic apps in here. But this export button, when I click automation script, is actually also going to create a deployment template for me that I could check into source control. You see here I have my workflow definition, the one that I defined here. In this case, this one, I don't even know what this one was called. Generated from resource. It's going to tell me. But you can also use this automation script button to create an export of any of your logic apps as well and access them as needed. Okay, great. So that's some of the features that we've shown. Let's switch back away from us, or away from our screens, I guess, and back to, oh, I guess the slide, because we have even more stuff to show,
That's
don't
right.
we?
Yes.
Wow,
Slides.
so much. Okay,
Slides.
you're up, Kevin.
Okay. In progress. So even though we GA, doesn't mean we're stopping. We're continuing to do work.
No one's going on vacation.
No. Aren't we supposed to go to Disney World?
I wish. Yeah, I'm going to Disney World.
Yay. More connectors. There are constantly connectors coming down the line. We have Trello, OneNote, Google Mail, BSTS, Dynamics AX, SAP, File, and Formix. All these things are coming down the line. So I put ... because this is only the short list. They'll just keep coming in waves. So keep coming to the designer, and you'll see these just light up.
And again, another plug as well. With all of the things that are new and all the things that are in progress, obviously we do these monthly webcasts, but if you're not already aware, we have a blog where we post whenever something new lights up, which is aka.ms/ Logic Apps Updates. But yeah, if you want to keep up to date on all this as well, check out that.
PowerShell and XPlat CLI. So PowerShell is the next release of PowerShell. For the Azure PowerShell, we'll have our latest commandlets in there, and XPlat CLI will come on the tails of that as well. Support for messages up to 50 megabytes. So we already today actually support the ability to between different actions to call operations that have messages up to 50 meg. But soon we'll also support getting a request on a request trigger of a request that's up to 50 meg. So we're constantly looking at making this bigger, but today you're able to do 50 meg messages internally, and then very soon to the requested point. One more? Yes, and OMS integration. We've been working closely with the OMS team at creating a great dashboard experience so that you can manage your logic apps and resources and get that single pane of glass experience. And soon we'll have a really nice experience that's right out of the box for seeing our stuff in OMS. It's possible today with some magic scripting that you can do on your end, but we'll make that a first-class experience really soon. Okay. And our plug for our different, actually didn't do the updates one.
That's okay. You'll see it if you go to the blog. It's on the top nav for the updates.
So Azure blogs, so we always have great content on our blogs at aka.ms Logic Apps blog. Our MSDN blogs give us, if you have any issues or questions, please post on those forums, and they're looked at. Vote for features on user voice. You can go here and pick Logic Apps and pick new features, and then of course the updates blog as well, that we have a special one for all these kind of micro updates, and then the Azure service blog will do the major updates. We'll be doing another one today for our GA announcement.
Great.
That.
So we can
Back
switch
to the
back
heads.
to our heads, our beautiful faces.
Yes.
So we can go ahead now. Again, thank you very much for joining us at these webcasts, for passing the feedback that you have. We can't say it enough. We love working with this community. We love working with all of you as we're able to work on these features. As Kevin said, and as you've seen, we're not planning on stopping at all. We're going to continue to improve the platform. But at the same time, it is a generally available service. You can bet your money on this, right? You can put production workloads on Logic Apps. You can trust that it's going to be up and reliable and do all those things that you need it to do. While at the same time, we're going to make sure that we're continuing and evolving and adding the features that you care about most. So keep that channel open with us. Let us know what you care about, what you want to see us work on next. And obviously, always join us monthly here at our webcasts. You'll also notice as well on the YouTube channel, on this Logic Apps YouTube channel, I actually uploaded a walkthrough of a demo that we did yesterday, which lets you create like a really simple text messaging bot. So it's like a 10, 15-minute walkthrough on that. We'll be loading more of those up as well. So there's a getting started one. There's that SMS one. I'm working on one this week around doing sentiment analysis with Azure Machine Learning. So be sure to subscribe to this channel too. And not only do you get these great live webcasts, but there's more content coming as well. So let me make sure. I'm not seeing any
questions.
Not seeing any chats here. I'm seeing lots of tweets, but no questions. So let's see if I have any here that I missed. I mean, the general question we usually get is when is general availability, and no one's asking that. So
we don't have to.
It looks like we're good. We don't have any questions right now, but obviously we'll be on Twitter always, not even just throughout the day. And you can send us an email if you have any questions if you're watching the recording of this webcast. And thank you again very much.
Thank you guys.
Great.
Great.
Thanks everyone. Have a great one.